Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Pokemon trainers and enthusiasts of all ages. So look, the Pokemon Pocket TCG trading card collectible game, and it's phenomenal. Now, I just want to say, disclaimer: when I was younger, I did not play Pokemon trading card game. I used to have Pokemon cards and collect them, but I was always a tabletop Yu-Gi-Oh player. So this game was a very interesting introduction to the Pokemon card game, the TCG scene, and I just want to give new players like myself to the Pokemon card tabletop version um, a couple of tips and tricks and things that I've learned over the past week that I have been playing it. So in the background, we're going to have two matches, just two random matches that I did, um, as well as the pack draw. Okay, now first thing I'm going to say is when it comes to your packs, like your daily packs and then the little Pikachu emblems you get that allows you to make time pass by so you can unlock a pack again, save those up. That's the first tip I'm giving you. Save them up. And you're going to see why later on in the video. Okay, so just remember that. Save your packs. Wait until you can do a 10-pack pull. You get 5 cards per pack. That's 50 cards. Okay, wait till you can pull those 10 packs. You'll see why. Trust me, it's a good thing. Now, first thing I want to explain is the types of cards that you actually have in this game. Okay, so you have what is called basic cards, which are Pokemon that have no evolutions that you can just put down. Doesn't matter, like cards like Kangaskhan or Tauros, or as you can see in the bottom, I have Jinx and Snorlax, and then Ghastly. Then you have the Evolve cards, which in this case would be the Starmie that just go by Ghastly or Haunter, Gengar. You see, I got my Gengar in my hand. And then you have item cards. Okay, those cards range from like X speed, HP recovery, things of that nature. Cards that like boom, XP. That's an item card. And then you have your support cards, which are usually other trainers or characters from the Pokemon universe. You'll see Professor Oak pop up in here. Every beginning player has at least, I think, 2 Professor Oak cards, which they all have different abilities, but Professor Oak specifically allows you to draw 2 cards from your deck. I also have Giovanni, Sabrina, Blaine, Lieutenant Surge. Like I have a bunch of different support cards that go into the deck that help, the flow, help you build your strategy up. Okay. Now, the second thing and the most important thing I'm going to say is you got to understand this energy situation. So as you can see, the little purple eye, whatever, that's a psychic energy. Okay. Psychic Pokemon need psychic energy to use those effects. To use their abilities. So as you can see, like on my Mewtwo, we have 4 energy slots, 2 psychic, 2 neutral. Now, neutral essentially just means you can put any type of energy on them. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay. But for example, Jinx, let's say I was running a deck with multiple elements in it, which I am. Actually, you'll see one of the fighting type energies pop up in a little bit. I could have 1 psychic and 1 fighting type energy on Jinx, and she would still be able to attack. You see what I'm saying? Like the white star represents any type of energy. I just say the random energy. Okay. Now, on the topic of elements and energies, I would have to say it's not conducive. Not conducive. It's not the best idea. It's not a good idea at all to run a multiple element deck in the beginning when you're first starting. Like this was like day 2 for me, and I was coming to realize that as I was doing my battles online and doing like the training matches, that I wouldn't always get the element that I needed. There were times where I would need a psychic element, but I would get 2 fighting elements back to back. And I'm like, shit, I don't have a fighting Pokemon on the field. It's not going to benefit me at all. So the way around that is, okay, choose whatever elements you want to run, whatever type of Pokemon, electric, water, grass, dragon. I do have a dragon deck. Draco Meteor is diabolical. I'll do a whole video on that. But that's going to be definitely be a Steven and Antoine voiceover because that Dragonite deck is nuts. So I would run whatever elements you want, and then I would have different Pokemon added into the deck that are considered the neutral energy Pokemon, like my Snorlax that you just saw, or like Tauros, or any other of those Pokemon which you would consider like normal type Pokemon. I would have an elemental based deck with normal type Pokemon that required the normal type energy or the random energy, is what I say. Always give it GGs, okay? We're all Pokemon trainers here. Don't be mean about it, okay? Let's be friends. Let's be nice. Now, very important, very important. This is what I was explaining to you about opening up 10 packs. Save up. As you can see, I got an EX Moltres at the top, okay? I got me a Melmeta, which I already have, different, like a whole bunch of new stuff, whole bunch of good stuff. Now, the exciting part comes now. EX Charizard, plus Charmeleon, plus Charmander. Plus I got Erica, who heals any grass type Pokemon that you have for 50 points of their health. Okay, like that's what I mean. Like I got 2 EXs and a bunch of good cards. Just save it up so you can get a whole bunch of stuff at once. It's no rush to build up your deck. It's not. Now, whew, EX Pokemon. Let's talk about the EXs. Now, I do have a couple of matches where I've faced EXs, where I've used my EXs. These EX Pokemon are nuts. They're so powerful, it's ridiculous. Now, the caveat to using an EX Pokemon is that if that EX Pokemon is defeated, you or your opponent will lose 2 stars, or you'll lose 2 slots, or whatever. So how this game works is, every time you defeat an enemy Pokemon or your opponent defeats your Pokemon, they'll get 1 point, okay? 3 Pokemon takedowns, you win the match. Y'all just saw that in the previous match. But EXs count as 2, so be careful. I always save my EXs either for the very beginning, if I can get them out, or the very end. So that way I have a little bit of wiggle room on whether or not their opponent can just switch them out and attack a weaker Pokemon and then win the game. Now, there are characters in here, support cards like Sabrina. She can cause your active Pokemon, which is the Pokemon who's currently in the top slot, who is able to battle, to switch with another Pokemon in your back line. Now, the only way that doesn't affect you is if you have no Pokemon in your back line. But if you do have a Pokemon in your back line, for example, this Ponyta, if this trainer that I'm facing, which I can't read his name because I don't understand the kanji, if he were to use Erica, guess what? He can get rid of my Magmar and then force me to then have to choose between Ponyta or Moltres. Of course, I'm going to pick Moltres because Moltres has the higher attack pool, which gives me more wiggle room to then figure something out. Do not underestimate the power of a weaker Pokemon. And I'm only saying that because Meowth is up here on the field now, and I actually run Meowth in a couple of my decks. So Meowth's effect is every time he attacks, you get to draw 1 card. Now, he may be very weak. He only does 10 damage. He only has like 50 or 60 HP. However, you drawing that extra card could make a huge difference in what happens and how you progress throughout your duel. So let's think about it like this. Not duel, this ain't Yu-Gi-Oh, but your match. So think about it like this. Let's say we got Professor Oak, which lets us draw 2 cards, and then which is a support card, and then we have the item card Pokeball, which then lets us draw 1 standard Pokemon from our deck. It just pulls it, right? That's 3 Pokemon, that's 3 cards right there, 1 guaranteed Pokemon. Meowth attacks, that's 4. That's 4 cards in 1 turn, where you can really stack yourself up. Now, keep in mind, these decks are very small. They're relatively small. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh, where you have to have a minimum of 40 and a maximum of like 60. No, you only have 20 cards in this deck. So getting 4 cards in 1 turn, it can be a game changer. It's phenomenal. Now, next point, and I'm glad Magmar just died because so I can show this point. Do not be afraid to sacrifice a Pokemon. Hey, Sabrina, what's happening, baby? Do not be afraid to sacrifice a Pokemon in order to then further yourself or other Pokemon. Okay? So, like I said, throw Moltres out. Inferno Dance. These EX Pokemon got some amazing effects. We're going to flip a coin now. Depending on how many heads I get, which I only got 2, that gives me that amount of fire energy I can then place onto a Pokemon, which is diabolical. Which I was trying to figure out at the time. I didn't fully understand how it worked, at least the mechanic. But that's phenomenal. So Charmander only requires 1 to attack. Charmeleon requires 3 energy. Charizard requires 4. I'm already halfway there. All I need now is my Charmeleon and 2 more turns, and I got a Charizard. Now, I want to impress upon everybody, do not always bank on your EX Pokemon winning the duel for you. They're good to have. Phenomenal work. It is. It's really good. However, don't bank on them. If you put all your priority in the EX, there's a lot of times you're going to be outplayed, because an experienced player is going to understand that, yeah, EX Pokemon are difficult to get around, difficult to defeat, the attack, the HP. However, there are ways of getting rid of them, or there are ways of stunning them, or poisoning them, or stalling them out. 100%. Sometimes I'll use Sabrina just to force somebody to switch out their EX to a backline Pokemon that requires 2 or 3 energy to attack. Now, if that Pokemon doesn't have the energy to attack, guess what? I'm free until they build up that energy. Also, as you can see, if you look at my Moltres, not only does he require 1 energy to use his ability, 3 energy to attack, he also requires 2 energy to retreat. So that's another way that you can look at it. Let's say you use Sabrina and you switch out a Pokemon that requires 4 energy to retreat. Well, your opponent now has to build up that energy on that Pokemon before he can force them to retreat. It's an excellent way to stall out the match and get yourself the energy that you need, or the items that you need, or the support cards that you need to then be able to overpower your opponent. See, he switched out. He switched out. He would much rather have Ekans be defeated than one of his frontliners. Okay, Weezing was clearly his frontline. Now at this point, I'm like, okay, I got time. I got 3 energy. I can attack. This thing is only going to do what? 20 or 30 damage to me, 20 damage. So then I can go ahead and stack up and get ready for my Charizard. At least that's what my plan was. But let's go ahead and put 1 on Ninetales just in case we get a 3rd one on the Charmander. Now, let's say Moltres was defeated and I was able to get Charizard, but he only had 3 energy on. Once it's my turn again, I'll get that 4th energy that I need for Charizard to attack. So I don't always have to prioritize the final boss of the deck. Every deck should have that big boss Pokemon. Most of my decks have 2 big boss Pokemon. But this particular fire deck, I don't have another EX Charizard or another Charizard period. So he's the big boss deck of this Pokemon. Everything else is designed to support that EX Charizard. And I always bring him out last. So if I can defeat my enemy without ever using him, I absolutely will. But if I need him, I'm going to make sure he's stacked up and ready. And I always put more than 4 energy on him, because Charizard and Charmander, and I believe Charmeleon too, every time they attack, they lose 1 energy, 1 or 2 energy. Like even Ninetales, she attacks, you have to discard 1 energy off her. Boom, I just lost 1. So I always try to keep Moltres there to keep that Charizard nice and healthy with the energy. Let me see, what else do I want to talk about as far as strategy and whatnot? I think that's it. I believe that's it. I mean, other than that, it all decides on how you think, how you process the flow of battle, and how you wish to go about controlling the flow of battle. But I just wanted to highlight a couple of key points and then show examples of them. Do not be afraid to switch out your Pokemon. There's no problem with retreating. There's no problem with saving a Pokemon that has a really good effect that you can then use later on. For example, in the first match you all saw, Jinx has an ability that the more energy that the enemy Pokemon has on them, the more extra attack she gains. So there was a particular instance where I was fighting against a Venusaur, had 190 HP, but the person who I was dueling against had 6 or 7 energy on that Venusaur. Jinx one-shot it, and it was an EX. I didn't have to worry about it because of the effect of the Jinx, you know. So we always want to keep that in mind. Now, here's the thing. I wanted Charizard. I really did. But I'm like, all right, we're both at 2. I can't take the risk. I don't know if I'm going to draw a Charmeleon in time. You know, I just happen to, but I'm like, I don't know. We got to see. Let me just prepare to win this match without Charizard's assistance. Like I'm saying, don't bank on your EXs. Support card. I get 30 plus damage to a Rapidash, a Ninetales, or a Magmar that's on the field. So yeah, Charizard is definitely coming next turn. He's definitely in the back line. However, you don't need him. Do not bank on your EXs. Okay? Enjoy the match. Have fun. But don't bank on your EXs to always win it for you. That's fine. I can take a hit. Boom. Now, this is when I got worried. Because I can't move. A lot of Pokemon have different effects where it's poison, or you get frozen, or paralyzed, or you just can't move from that spot. Even if, see, it doesn't give me the option to retreat. Luckily, he only had 30 HP left, and I didn't have to worry about it. But keep in mind for status effects and status ailments that prevent you from switching out your Pokemon. And with that, little quick tips and tricks for new trainers like myself, new to this TCG scene. If you liked the video, like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like this one, I might drop something that you do like. So subscribe and stay tuned for the next one. Take it easy, you lazy bastard.